So Tina, it's great to see you as always.
You as well.
Very interesting panel today, Apartamania in Dallas. Tell us a little bit about the panel. What was the panel about? What was the topic of the conversation?
Well, I think if I was to think of like the global theme, it was really around retention. It was really about customer care, what customers are looking for today, kind of what's changed. And obviously a big part of that topic around concessions, differentiation through service, and then service in general.
The part with service, got my attention because obviously my background's been for over 2 decades and I'm very passionate about service. So how do you see the service teams playing a higher role into this current environment that they ever have in the past?
Well, I think, and I said it in the panel, right? I mean, our service team members are really the face, and the face that our residents know more than anybody, even the office team, right? Because they're in the homes, they're on the property, they're in the hallways. They are the ones that are building relationships in a really special way, and they are often the reason why someone will stay or not stay, right? But like our industry has evolved in technology, right, and all the tools, their day-to-day has also shifted in a pretty big way as well because of that technology or legislation as well.
When you're thinking about technology for maintenance, the landscape is, I won't say saturated, but I'm saying when you look at it, if you were to shop now from zero, there's a lot of product out there, and there's a lot of point solutions out there. How do you see, from an operator standpoint, in a very pragmatic way, would be the ideal technology that could be like a one piece that encompasses the whole entire maintenance resident experience, and also the workflows?
Right. Well, yes. I mean, I would say saturated. There's a lot, and it's hard to understand, right? Some do 5 things, some do 10, some integrate, some don't, right? So it's hard to navigate. And I think, our company does a pretty good job of bringing it together and dissecting it to understand what will work with what we're already doing. When you think about the maintenance kind of life cycle, right? From, the turn, right? The first turn to then the constant touch points with service, with preventive maintenance, right? With capital projects, it's a lot. And there's a lot of documentation that's needed. There's a lot of communication that's needed. There's a lot of organization that's needed, right? So when you ask me, like, what's the most optimal solution? I think it's one where, the day-to-day of our maintenance teams can be more streamlined, right? So they're not running back and forth to the office to get a key, get a paper, pick up a right? That they can be in the field where they are and go through the processes in a streamlined way, but also document it, also communicate, right? Take the pictures, do all the things that they have to do in a way that then integrates with your baseline software, because otherwise that lack of integration is now friction. You said friction, right? And that is inefficient. It's also frustrating. And frankly, what it often means is that the tool and the technology is not going to get used because it's an interruption to their day and they're less efficient and they're busy. So I think we need to solve for that for them.
I heard on the panel someone saying, I think it was Melanie French, that said, we're learning that technology that's supposed to produce less work for our maintenance teams actually creates more work for them.
Yeah.
And that's actually not helpful. So therefore, lower adoption rates.
Yeah.
Is that something that you're seeing in the industry as a kind of, I will say, like, is it prevalent? How prevalent is it in your opinion?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it depends on what the technology is that you're talking about. But we were talking earlier about the old whiteboard, right? And it was visual and you could see it. And, yes, it's old school and old fashioned, but it worked, right? And now again, we're trying to create systems and tools. And now a lot of those are automated and digital. But again, if they're not integrating, and it's going to result in a situation where someone's not going to use it, or maybe they don't know how to use it, and so you have to make sure that you're training your teams, make sure that they're comfortable with the tool, make sure you're getting feedback from them as well. Like, when we talk about these rollouts, right, we do pilots, we include the actual stakeholders because, they're the end user. It's not the corporate department heads that are using the tools, right? We need to know, does this work? What's not working? What do you need it to do? And then we need to solve for that for them.
I love that you're mentioning the end user because I think they're the forgotten people out there. Tech companies tend to believe that we're going to build a lot of reports, a lot of KPIs, a lot of dashboards, but those are mainly for the corporate office. They're not for the end user. The end user in a field has a different need, right? And I guess to put it mildly, is to have a frictionless experience, right? The least amount of clicks, if any, if possible, right? Maybe something voice activated. I'm thinking how I'm using ChatGPT nowadays. I don't type in, I just press the voice thing and I speak to it.
Right.
And it spits back, an answer to me. I mean, that's technology that's widely available. And that's, in my opinion, something that every maintenance-based software should have or application should have.
And I think, there are some great tools today that didn't exist in the past, right? You can actually take a picture of something that's broken, something that's damaged, something that was just repaired. You can upload it, right? That gets communicated to the resident. It gets then stored in the file. There's some good things that are creating some of that seamlessness and efficiency for our team members. But back to, if you don't have a solution that's integrated, where now you have to enter something twice, it completely defeats the purpose, right? Our greatest commodity, time, right? It's the most important thing. We don't have enough of it. The last thing we want to do is to create a situation where our teams are having to do something twice, right? You might as well not have the technology at all, in my opinion.
You brought a lot of good points here. If I was to be a technology provider, and I will approach you about presenting a maintenance solution, right? And this could be anything. Could be all-in-one, make-ready, workflows, inspections, you name it, right? Anything that's maintenance related. What are the things that, first of all, will get me in front of you, will get me a meeting with you? What will be something that you'll be really interested in exploring? And secondly, in your vetting process, what are the things that you will be looking at when you say, okay, this passes my initial, assessment, right? And I like to bring this up with the other stakeholders, you mentioned.
Sure. Well, I think, when we look at any program, right, we look at, okay, will it be seamless within our ecosystem at our organization?
Integration.
Right? Integration, right? So will this cohabitate with what we're doing? Does this solve a problem that we have? So when you say, how do I get in the room? I always say, understand your audience, right? I don't care if you're selling a service or a product or you're renting an apartment. You've got to understand your customer. What's their pain point? What are they trying to solve for? And how can you add value? And when you can bring those together, right, that's where the magic happens. So I think, understand, what tools are you using? What are your greatest challenges? Does your company do surveys for your service team members? What are they saying? What do they want? How can we help solve that for you? And then connect the dots, right? Like anything, you have to be able to connect the need or the want, right, with the solution. That, I think, all day long, it warrants a conversation, right?
Everybody's talking, everybody's thinking AI, right? I want to see, how do you see the future of our industry in a context of this amazing AI revolution that we're in the middle of?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a reality. It's here, and I think it will continue to evolve. I think, and I just spoke about this in the session, it's that high touch and high tech. We need to still be mindful that we're in a people industry, and the AI, while it can be efficient, it's not always accurate. It may have relevant answers and data, but it might not be appropriate for the question, right? So you need to have some boundaries, I think, and you need to have some guidelines for how you want your organization to interact with the AI, but also how do you then weave together that technology with the high touch, right? How can you benefit from the AI and the technology, but also be a service forward, people first environment? Again, whether that's, your site level, your corporate level, right? Like all levels of communication. How do you intertwine, the technology, but in a very customer-centric way?
Tina, thank you so much for taking the time today.
No, of course.
It was great to see you in Dallas.
So good to see you, always.